Hey, One Piece fans, I'm Chris Bolts, and I'm coming in with a video. You can see it right in front of me here. There was a post that was posted to a Twitter user by the name of QPiece over here. This was a message that was left in this week's issue of Shonen Jump, basically telling us something about Eiji Oda not publishing this week's One Piece manga for the time being because of his poor health. And I wanted to go ahead and talk about that and about these long manga in general and what type of trouble they run into when the mangaka passes away or gets too sick to be able to carry on. But before I do get into the content, do make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get off into this. So I'll go ahead and read this right here. It says, to our beloved readers. Let me just see if I can blow that up here just a little bit. Let's see. Doesn't look like it's letting me blow it up too much. No, unfortunately not. It's not letting me blow it up. So we'll just have to deal with it right here. It says, to our beloved readers, thank you very much for always reading One Piece. Due to the author's poor health, One Piece will be on break this issue. We deeply apologize to all readers who were looking forward to it. Also, although this issue's postcards and contents list show One Piece as being published, the correction could not be made in time for the printing process. We sincerely apologize once again. The continuation is scheduled to resume in issue 46 on sale October 14th. We kindly ask for your continued support of One Piece from the Shonen Jump editorial department. Now, if you're not aware, I think One Piece has been in circulation since 1999. That basically means it's been around for nearly 26 years, almost 30 years that this beloved franchise has been with us. And when you have a manga that long, the readers begin to wonder exactly when will it be finished and if it will be finished before anything major happens to the mangaka. Thankfully, it only sounds like the author might have been sick, because later in this same thread from QPiece, we got this update here, way at the top if we can get there. It says right here, the official One Piece account confirms that Oda is in the process of recovering. So he may be sick, but he still is around to go ahead and finish the One Piece. However, I don't think he says he was very close to the end of One Piece. However, that is a relative term. We don't know if that means if he's going to be done within a year, because definitely he's not going to be done within the next few months. We don't know if he's going to be done within a year or 2 years or maybe even 3 years. But this is the problem that we always run into with these mangaka these manga that spend decades in writing, and we don't know exactly when the mangaka is going to be finished with them. And I was doing a little bit of research here, and I pulled up 10 mangaka that actually were not able to finish their work before their untimely passing. And for some of you guys, you don't know any of these mangaka or any of the projects that they worked on, but you see right here, I think the most famous one that I probably recognize right here is probably going to be this guy right here. Noboru Yamaguchi. He was over Kaze no Kishime and Zero no Tsukaima. Those were some that were that I'm familiar with. And then this one right here, I'm also familiar with this one. Listen to me, girls. I Am Your Father. I know about that one. And so a lot of these mangaka have an untimely passing before they're able to finish their work. And over here at Anime List, we have a whole list of manga that have not finished, and one of the most famous ones is right here at the top. Berserk. Kentaro Miura passed away in 2025, says from an aortic dissection, basically a heart attack. And so he was only in his 50s, and Berserk is not finished, but he did have a couple of disciples that were left behind who are trying to work feverishly to try to figure out exactly where Kentaro Miura was going with the story. But the thing is, though, no one really knows, because only Kentaro Miura knows exactly where the story is going to be going, because it's in his head. It was in his head, rather. And even if there's a Bible that might have notes and lore that anyone else can come along and follow, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to still write something that is close to what the original mangaka was writing. And then we also have right here, which is a favorite of mine, High School of the Dead. Unfortunately, I watched the dub version of this and for the anime, but and the dub version of the anime, they decided to inject American politics into the anime, and that basically swore me off from ever listening to dubbed anime ever again, because I don't want any of that stuff polluting my anime. I don't want anything from American politics or even American cultural slang really infecting my Japanese anime. So I said, nah, I'm not gonna watch that. But I digress on that particular point. As you can see right here, High School of the Dead didn't finish because the writer Sato Daisuke passed away in 2017 from heart disease, again, basically a heart attack. And then we also know about the late legendary Akira Toriyama, who had an untimely death from acute subdural hematoma, basically had a brain bleed. And he died at 68. He left Dragon Ball Super unfinished. The series did release the anime, which I thought was pretty good fun, because it was a mixture of the old school Dragon Ball and the later Dragon Ball Z, and even some of the Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball GT in the form of Dragon Ball Daima. It basically was a love letter to fans of each one of those particular series. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super. They actually went in there and canonized the Super Saiyan 4, which is basically the beast version of Goku and Vegeta. Now, it doesn't, in my view, it does introduce a kind of a break in the canon, namely that how did they get to become Super Saiyan 4, and then somehow that was never mentioned in Dragon Ball Super. They just skipped over the Super Saiyan 4 form and just went into the Goku Blue and Goku Red versions of themselves, as well as Ultra Instinct. So that is a bit of contention with many fans, but I digress again. This is a situation where the untimely death of Akira Toriyama has led to Dragon Ball Super being unfinished. And then we go down here and we see there are several different types of manga that have not finished, and that actually also has an impact on the anime. Kaze no Stigma was a really good one way back in the day. I really like that one. And you see all these manga that are unfinished because the mangaka passed away. And even though some of them might be small volumes, that still has a major impact, because a lot of these manga build up really huge fan bases, and then those manga in turn turn into anime, which then in turn build up major fan bases. Just to go back up to Berserk here, the very first season of Berserk was probably one of the best anime seasons ever released. It originally released back in, I want to say, in 1998, maybe 99, and I was enthralled with that. And then out of nowhere, that was the only thing that the studio and Kentaro Miura was going to release at that time, until they decided to come back almost a decade later, probably even 2 decades or so, to come out and do the season 2 for Berserk, which was completely underwhelming to the first season. But that's neither here nor there. The entire point is the Berserk anime actually brought in many fans into the mangaka's work, into Kentaro Miura's work, got them interested in that world, got people interested in the character Guts and all the other things that was going on, the Behelid and the Five Gods, and what happened to Griffith becoming faster and what he did to Casca. All that was a really good, compelling story that brought people into that world, only for, we don't know where that's going to be going in the future or anything like that. So it's very important that as a creative, you want to try to get that work out in time, because you don't know when the death might be coming for you. And one of the other series that has been going on for a very long time is Hunter x Hunter. I won't pull that up right here or anything like that, but I just talk about it. Hunter x Hunter, the mangaka for that one, he has serious health issues, and unfortunately it always interrupted him being able to get the series finished. So these types of things really have a really big impact, and just bring it all back around to Mr. Age of the Oda-san here. You know, we are excited to see the ending to One Piece, especially if you're watching the anime. And this goes into my point that I made in my last review for episode 1145, namely that these recaps that keep coming in, that they're now introducing back into the anime, the recaps, the opening theme, the preview of the next week's episode, and then the ending theme, that's about 5 to 7 minutes of additional time that could be used towards storytelling. And if you want to keep the opening and ending themes, I understand that. But the previews and the recaps, you take those out, then maybe 2 to 3 minutes of additional time that you could be putting towards the story. And then on top of that, the constant recap episodes, the entire episodes of the recap, like this week's episode of One Piece is going to be a recap of Cypher Pole Zero. Now, if you are not a hardcore fan, it probably will be a good time to brush up on getting reintroduced to the characters of Rob Lucci, of Kaku, of Stussy, and other Cypher Pole members. But if you are really well versed in all these characters and their history, that's going to be a waste of your time. And that time could have been used telling the story. So we do obviously wish Eiichiro Oda a speedy recovery. We want him to be in good health to be able to go ahead and finish telling his story. But just being a bit pragmatic here, time is of the essence. It counts down for no one and it spares no one. So if you're really close to the ending, or at least if you've sketched out a really good Bible and you have a really good disciple that studies underneath you, you know, so that way you have a lineage that you can pass on to before, if in your untimely passing, they'll be able to finish and complete that work. Because one thing I would hate to do, or hate to see rather, is One Piece end on a massive cliffhanger because we couldn't finish the story because of the unfortunate passing of the legendary Eiichiro Oda. So Godspeed in recovering in your health, Oda-san. We wish you the best, but at the same time, we hope you can really get in there and get that story done so we can really see what happens with all the Straw Hat crew in their adventures in the world of One Piece. But those are my thoughts on the issue. What are your thoughts about the health of Eiichiro Oda, unfinished manga and anime because of the untimely passing of the mangaka, and all that stuff? Whatever your thoughts, jump down in the comments below and let me know what you think. And make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And remember, this is Chris Boltz signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. You take it easy.